Greetings and salutations to one and all. Welcome to another night shift week. Tonight we do a thing we call community and finance, and I want to welcome each and every one of you to the broadcast. I want to say big ups to those locked in on the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew on TuneIn Radio. And those across the pond, good morning to you over there in the UK. Locked in on One Harmony Radio. Big ups to those on WGLRO, home of the Donny Walker Morning Show, taking you from the sheets to the streets, touching from Detroit to Denmark and all points in between. I want to say big ups to those who are locked in on PEMG TV. Those on ClintonLindsay.com, the Foundation Radio Network. Big ups to you. If you're locked in on RGR, Reggae Global Radio, big ups to you. Those on PEMGTV.com, welcome. And of course, those right here at the home of the night shift, the DJ Kevin Stew, KevinStew.com, where we are encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment. I bid you a good evening from right here in South Florida. The sound of the ultimate rejects. It's called Heat.
Watch them coming out. See them coming out. And you can feel them coming out. As the big man coming out. Watch the big man coming out. And the ravers coming out. And you can feel them coming out.
It's the sound of the ultimate rejects.
And you can feel them coming out. As the big man coming out. Watch the big man coming out. And the ravers coming out. The whole nation coming out.
I want to say welcome to those locked in on Facebook Live. How you guys doing on FB? I want to say thank you to Pulse Media Group for sponsoring this segment of the broadcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you to Pulse Media Group for sponsoring this segment of the broadcast. Pulse provides innovative streaming and recording solutions. When being in a moment is priceless, you want to give them a link. 754-999-6020 or check them out at pulseemg.com. I want to say thanks to Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands. Althea SU is a licensed massage therapist that comes to you. Granted that you're in the Broad County area, North Miami-Dade and South Palm Beach counties. She brings her table, she brings her oils, and of course her Healing Heavenly Hands. Althea SU can be reached on 954-655-9000 or by email at thealater@att.net. She comes to you COVID free. She'd like to leave that way. So if you know you have the virus, don't call her. However, if you've recovered already, or you know you're clean, go ahead, use up the number 954-655-9000 or email thealater@att.net. I want to say thanks to Reggae Global Entertainment. Reggae Global Entertainment will be your booking agents. They can act as your tour management agents. Take care of your copyrights, your publishing, your trademarks, your business registration, music production, marketing and promotion, and so much more. Call them on 954-998-8034 or check them out online on reggaeglobalentertainment.com. And I want to say thanks to GMAT Music Solutions, bringing your event to life, providing sound, light, stage production services, musical equipment, PA systems, audio engineers, DJs, bands, musicians, singers. Give them a call, 754-307 GMAC. That's 754-307-4622. You can also check them out at gmatmusicsolutions.com. You can do your online shopping there also. Kind of versatile. Let's go ahead and give them a link. Tell them DJ Kevin Stew sent you. This is the sound of the ultimate reject. Once again, it's called Heat. Now, with me on the line, I have two guys that they bring the heat. So they like working on cold cases. So they bring the heat to the cold cases, and they change everything that you thought of. Because the information as you had it may not quite be the way it is. So without further ado, I present to you two gentlemen that Boy, I don't know how they do what they do, but we're gonna find out tonight. And one of the things that we'll be looking at is asking the question: is Wayne Williams a killer? And the things that I suspect we'll be hearing tonight, I got some of it already. Believe me, ladies and gentlemen, for this one, your sofas, your love seats, your recliners, your beds, wherever you're sitting, you need a seatbelt for this one. So strap in, grab a helmet, put that on because you're gonna be in for quite a ride tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you DeWayne Hendrix and Alex Baber. Welcome, gentlemen, to the broadcast. Welcome to the night shift.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us, Kevin.
Hey, listen, I am so excited about this, and I really couldn't wait for this to happen. I want to really welcome you. I don't know where everybody went a while ago, but let me welcome you again. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Alex Baber and DeWayne Hendrix. Okay, now they showed up. Oh my goodness, these people, they don't follow cues at all. Hey, how you guys doing?
I'm great.
I'm doing well, Kevin.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Now, so you guys, DeWayne and Alex, you guys work cold cases, right?
Well, actually, I don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alex does.
So Alex works cold cases. DeWayne,
Absolutely, yes.
you're along for the ride.
Well, not necessarily. I'm an advocate against injustices. I'm an author, and I've been a community leader for quite some time. I've worked with at-risk youth, mentorship programs to help children in gangs and things of that nature. So I've always had a pulse for working for the greater good of humanity. And how Alex and I met was my work on this particular project, which was the Wayne Williams Freedom Project. And our paths intersected because in the investigation that he was doing into a serial killer who actually committed multiple murders, as you're about to learn, for about 60 years. He and I met, or our paths intersected based on that once he started doing the research into the Atlanta child murders, and he learned about Wayne Williams' case. One of the, I guess, most essential parts of the fight for justice for Wayne Williams, or the most central name, was mine. And basically, we met and we started communicating, and he helped me connect some dots. Well, he helped me connect a lot of dots, and I helped him connect some dots. And now we're at this pivotal moment to where we're actually about to rewrite history and free an innocent man who's had 40 years of his life taken away from him.
Now, if there's one thing that I address on multiple occasions on this broadcast, it is wrongful incarceration. And
Yes.
so, DeWayne, you and I are I guess we're twins in that sense, in that regard.
Great.
You know,
That's good to know.
I'm big against injustices, and I even have one of the local police departments on my broadcast once a month to make sure that the community understands what is going on. someone from Baton Rouge, a couple of people from Baton Rouge was saying that they were onto the link to the child murders broadcast, the Atlanta child murders broadcast. Listen, people, you're on it. Just in case you're wondering, you're there. But
Right.
yeah, Dwayne.
And let me address that because there's a lot of misconceptions out there about previous podcasts and documentary series and interviews also that were conducted over the years by Wayne Williams that we will properly address in this upcoming documentary series that we will be working on because there's so many things that people don't get to understand from a public perception about the interviewing process, about what you actually see in a film or a TV show. You probably only get to see about 15 to 20% of what's actually filmed, and a lot of stuff gets edited out. So, in the questioning that you were asked about the podcast, there's a podcast out there that I actually was a central figure in helping come together. And what ended up happening was the whole story definitely got told, and it ended up being another means for the person who was the producer of the podcast to try to criminalize Wayne Williams. And I really want the listening audience to understand how cases of this magnitude and different events that we see that become mainstream media, how they can be socially engineered in so many different ways, and how they always put people in positions to be able to control the narrative so that the truth doesn't properly get displayed. Because as the old adage in the good book says, ye shall know the truth, and that truth will make you free.
Right.
Knowing the truth liberates you, and it gives clarity. So with everything that myself and Alex stand for, we stand up to any scrutiny. We stand up to anyone that tries to challenge what information that we present, because we only want the truth and the facts to come out. And if Wayne Williams is so guilty, we ask that the public allow us to be able to tell his side of the story, because his side of the story has never been told.
This is, it seems to be a recurring narrative when it comes to individuals who are incarcerated and they claim their innocence. And more often than not, I find it happening with people of color. The closest to a Caucasian individual, what is classified as a Caucasian individual, I did a whole broadcast on Caucasian and Negroes, but that's another show altogether, was the second person in U.S. history to have their whole conviction voided. And he lives out in Arizona. And a few months ago, he was a guest on this show. And his name is Daniel Gutierrez. But for the most part, I find that people of color have really gotten a raw deal. And in the court, of course, the job of those prosecuting will be to make that individual look guilty. And far too often we've come across defense attorneys who also work for the state that don't do a great job with defending the client.
Right.
And then the news comes in and they spin a narrative also. And on occasions you might have a few documentaries coming around that paint a picture that is also skewed. I've only come across a few documentaries that let you ask another question that questions the verdict, questions why it is that this individual is locked up. Now, with DeWayne, with you being one who is in the fight, the constant fight for what is right, when you came across Wayne Williams, what was it that stood out to you?
Hey, DeWayne.
Yes.
Before he moves on to that, I want to make a point to him. Kevin, you were just talking about the whole Caucasian situation as opposed to the black persecutions that are going on.
Yeah, Alex.
What if I were to tell you that the longest serving inmate in United States history
Yes.
was Caucasian and he was innocent, and he was framed by these two individuals that we're going to talk about. The longest serving inmate in history. His name was William Hiron from Chicago, Illinois. He was framed. I actually obtained a fingerprint from the crime scene under the table. I had to purchase it.
Yeah.
And I was able to match that fingerprint to one of our perpetrators.
So
and it had a 18-point hit.
I am laughing now because of something you just said. So basically, what we're talking about with Wayne Williams is only a piece of what we're really talking about tonight, because it goes a whole lot bigger than that.
That is correct. Now, this spans 6 decades in total, and 103 homicides I was able to link.
Wait.
From
60
children
years.
to the age of, yes.
103 homicides.
Yeah, 103 homicides, beginning in 1945, and the last known homicide I can connect was 2008.
Which actually made it 104.
Which made it 104. Thank you, DeWayne.
I'm starting to know this guy's investigation better than him.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's, I got audio analysis match. I have fingerprints now that match. I have enough evidence here. When we get done releasing all of this to the general public, like DeWayne had said earlier, we're going to rewrite history, literally.
Now, in doing that, you will also be exposing even more something relating to the judicial system that we've been questioning, especially on my broadcast, for quite a while now.
Correct.
That is correct. Whether it was intentional corruption or if it was just, them not following the procedures and following up on leads or witness statements, whatever it might be. I'm not saying that all law enforcement that are involved in these kind of cases are corrupt by any means. I have a great many friends that are in law enforcement.
Yeah, but the cover-up is real.
Family members, there's good apples and bad apples.
Oh yeah.
And everywhere we go, no matter what your career is. Right. So, but we are going to expose some corruption. I think the media played a big part in some of these. Wayne Williams being one, William Hiron's being another one, where they put so much pressure on law enforcement via the public that they were offered up, as a scapegoats, pretty much. Right.
Yeah, because this looks like it's going to be quite a canvas being painted here.
We're going to cover. I'm going to cover a fraction of the investigation. Of what I've uncovered. Because I am a cold case consultant. Technically, I'm not an investigator.
Right.
I assist when people reach a dead end and they don't have anywhere to look to. I'm the one that gives them the answers. I'm the one that comes in and reevaluates the evidence, because I look at it in a different manner than you would, the average person would. So right. I have a gift. And since I've begun using it, it's been beneficial to a lot of families.
I need to introduce you to David Fisher.
Yeah, I've actually heard of David quite a few times. I've been compared to him. Um, I've never met him, you know, myself personally,
Yeah.
but I have heard a great deal about him.
Yeah, he. I, I need to introduce you. That's all I'm gonna say. I need to introduce you to. Now, so
Can
uh,
I go back and make a point,
sure, sure, Dwayne.
Kevin? Because equally important for the listening audience to understand outside of uh, us just talking about law enforcement, and when we talk about mass incarceration and we talk about the things that we talk about, we have to also make sure that it's duly noted that many people end up in the prison simple just because they lack the finances that it takes to fight a case.
Yes.
You know, where I'm from, the streets, we call a public defender a public pretender,
Mm.
because what most of these lawyers do is they take money or they take cases just to make a plea deal, and a
Right.
person could be completely and totally innocent. I fought a gun case in 2011, and I had a legally purchased firearm that I bought in the state of Georgia, and I was arrested on the day of the wake of my baby brother and my father being killed in a car crash.
Sorry
So
about that.
where I was born and raised is about 40 miles north of the Georgia-Florida border. So because I went into Jacksonville, Florida, Duval County, and I had a legally purchased firearm that I purchased in the state of Georgia,
Mm.
just because I crossed over in the state lines and I basically was profiled as somebody who was driving while being the wrong melanin color
Mm.
hue, right?
Call
I
it what
got
it is.
pulled
Driving
over.
while black. Call it what it is.
Yeah, yeah. I got profiled basically, and um, the cops tore my car up and down because they thought I was a drug dealer, and they couldn't find any drugs in the car. They ended up taking me to jail because I had a legally purchased firearm in the car because I was in a state, which most states they honor the purchase from a bordering state, but because they had did so much illegally, they took me to jail for this charge, which was a felony charge.
Right.
I actually could afford to get a paid attorney, but my paid attorney would not fight the case properly. You know, because as an attorney in this town, if he fights a case against some crooked cops, something potentially could bad happen to him from a standpoint of his business or whatever the case may be.
Mm.
So there's so many people that end up in situations like this, to where they take plea deals and they end up going to prison for something that they were completely and totally innocent of. And when I was in court, I actually talked to the prosecuting attorney and I told them, I said, the police officers broke the law and pulled me over, and they even lied about the reason that they pulled me over. While I was saying everything that I was saying to the actual prosecuting attorney, he was like, "Yes, sir, I know, I know, I know." He was agreeing with everything that I said. And I said, "So you still are going to try to prosecute me instead of throwing this case out knowing that they broke the law?" And he said, "I'm sorry, sir,"
That's my job.
and walked away. You know, so um, I'm saying that, and I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but going away from, you know, the conversation a little bit. But I want people, and this is my own personal experience. This is a walk that I walk.
Yeah.
But I want people to understand, you know, I had to take a plea deal to a lesser charge, which ended up being unlawful display of a firearm, which was a misdemeanor. And basically, I just had to pay a fine and, you know, didn't end up having to face prison time, in which they were going to try to put me in prison for 3 years. You know, had I tried to fight this case, and the attorney that I had was letting me know in so many words that he was not going to fight the case, that he only took the case to try to get me a plea deal, even though I told him ahead of the time that I wanted to fight the case because I was innocent.
You
You
see,
know, and all of the attorneys that I went to that were willing to try to fight the case and get me off of the case, they wanted an extensive amount of money that I could not afford.
right.
You know, they wanted $15,000, and you know, a case like that, it shouldn't cost that much to try to get somebody off of that type of case. You know, so
But
we really have to educate ourselves as
right.
to why a lot of these things happen, so that people won't continue to get thrown under the bus like Wayne Williams was thrown under the bus, and society just turned their back on it.
Right, doing.
What,
Your story is
while
not
you
that far off because it is very important in what is happening, both in this situation and in others. Go ahead,
correct.
Alex.
I wanted to point this out also with the William Hirons case in 1945, the Chicago lipstick killer. After he was framed and they actually apprehended him, breaking into a house and exiting, they actually tortured him for 5 days without any counsel and without allowing him to see his family, his parents. They even gave him a spinal tap without any
A
local.
spinal
So
tap.
they stuck a 9-inch needle into his spine, strapped him down, and he still wouldn't confess. So when they brought him before the judge, this time the media had already painted him as a child murderer, or Suzanne Diegman.
Right.
She was 7 years old. She was kidnapped out of her apartment, her family's apartment or house.
Mm-hmm.
And this case runs really deep, and I'll be able to get into this later. But they actually dismembered her. They cut off her arms, legs, her head. They planted her body parts in the catch basins around the family's residence, the blocks located. And then they called and told him where to find the body parts.
Mm.
And he wouldn't admit to it, of course, because he was innocent. So after torturing him and keeping isolated from counsel, not allowing his mother and father to come in to speak to him, they brought him before the judge, and the defense attorney basically told him, "Look, here's what's going to happen. Either you're going to take a plea bargain and serve life in prison until the day you die, or we're gonna execute you immediately." And he had no other option. So his families, they directed him towards a plea bargain with the thought, and William Hirons said this later on in an interview, that people, if you want to look on YouTube, there's a 2-part interview on there, that his thought pattern was, if I'm alive and I'm breathing, I can fight this.
Right.
I can go to prison, and then I can appeal and fight this because I know I'm innocent. Someone's going to come up with evidence that's going to prove my innocence. And he fought his entire life. And in 1970, the parole board came to him and told him, "Look, William, you're an excellent inmate. Do you know that he did not have one altercation in nearly 65 years in prison? Not one. He was also one of the first. He's one of the first inmates to be able to obtain a bachelor's degree behind bars.
That kind of sounds like Jeremy Busby.
He was a model inmate. Everybody
Yep.
loved him. Nobody messed with him. And when he came before the parole board in the early 70s, and this is also in the interview out of his own mouth, he says that they pulled me aside and said, "Look, William, we know that you're innocent. We know, that you got railroaded, but ultimately we can't let you out. No matter what you do, you're going to stay in here." And they even voted. He actually, according to the interview, he stated that he actually was paroled, and then a call was made and it was overturned. And the reason they gave him was, if they let him out in Chicago, Illinois, they would have rioted. All these people remembered him as a 7-year-old, murderer of a young lady, a mutilation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they couldn't allow that to happen. They were going to offer up his life and his freedom for the better good of the city.
Well,
And
that's
this
how
is
they
where
say
we've gone.
it.
Yes. And like I said, if you guys are listening, if you want to go on YouTube and look up William Hiron's interview, there's 2 parts.
His last name is
And
spelled how?
Hirons, Hirens, William Hirons. If you look up the Chicago Lipstick Killer, 1945-46, you'll see the 3 murders they pinned on him. And I have, like I said, a fingerprint that disproves 2 of them. And I also have another link that directly connects one of our perpetrators to the second victim, who was Miss Frances Brown. She was actually at his father's birthday party. And I have no idea how they never connected this. It was in the newspaper. Ironically. So, with that being said, William Hirons was railroaded, much like Wayne Williams has been. You know, how are you going to convict a man for 2 life sentence and put him in prison on carpet fibers that, I mean, it's junk science, if you want to get technical. By today's standards, if you were to bring that before a judge, he's not even going to let you into court. He's because, you know, you got to remember the prosecutors at that time did not want to prosecute Wayne Williams. They openly stated in the news and in the media that, you know, in newspapers that they had nothing. They were not going to prosecute him. And then the FBI intervened, applied pressure, and then all of a sudden, you know, Slayton says, well, we're going to prosecute.
And equally important for people to understand is that actually George Bush Sr., when he was the vice president of the country, came to a meeting at the governor's mansion in Atlanta, Georgia, and told then Fulton County District Attorney Louis Slayton that if he didn't prosecute Wayne Williams, he would get the U.S. Attorney General to do it.
Wow.
Exactly.
And then later on, you have the funding by Ronald Reagan and George Bush Sr.
Correct.
You know, there was $4.6 million was funded to the city of Atlanta after the prosecution of Wayne Williams. And on top of that, you have a letter of accommodation sent to the prosecuting team, you know, of recommendation, telling them, you know, great job, good work. And
from the FBI director.
Yeah, Director Webster, that's correct. I have that letter. And then you also have the people that they're giving a letter of recommendation for are the ones that openly stated they had nothing on him and did not want to prosecute Wayne. So I want someone to explain to me how that's possible. How can you go from one extreme to the other in a matter of days and then have somebody in a position of authority that overshadows yours and tells you what you need to do? You know, they congratulate you. How is that possible?
Well,
Why?
what we have,
The question should be how. It should be why. It should be the question, not how.
Right, because it was done.
It was done. I mean, I have documentation saying I have the letters. It was mailed, but I want to know why.
And to me,
what is it?
That looks like the CYA, because they messed up. First of all, they needed to find someone that they're going to put out there so that the community will be at ease. One, there will be less pressure on them. Two, and they will also look like heroes. So,
how about if I told you that they actually had a letter in their possession in December of 1980, 6 months prior to the bridge incident? They had a letter that was mailed in by Klein, the individual that I connected. It's in his handwriting. Mailed the letter in, giving them Wayne Williams' name, address, all of his information, and offering him up as the Atlanta child murderer 6 months prior to the bridge. What if I were to tell you I had that letter?
Wait, wait, hold on. Wait, 1 minute. Those of you who are
Yes.
locked in on Facebook Live, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's Facebook Live. I bid you farewell. Come on over to kevinstew.com. Easy way to find it. Look in the description. You see the link, kevinstew.com. Click on it. It takes you straight there. You don't have to do anything else for the remainder of this broadcast. You call a friend, tell them to come over too, because you don't want to miss it. This is not information that you'll find on some search engine or on YouTube or wherever. No, this is not, because this information is not there yet. So
That is correct.
come on over to kevinstew.com, and that way you can get this information. Hello, those locked in on Reggae Global Radio Facebook Live, deuces to you. Those on Reggae Global Radio, big ups to you guys in the chat room. I see you. Ital from Africa, Tatiana from Spain, Lorraine, welcome. Pablo from Jamaica, welcome. Now, Alex, you're
Yes,
saying
sir.
that you have a letter from 6 months prior to the stakeout at the bridge. For those who don't know much about this case, I had posted a video of an interview with Wayne Williams that pretty much tells a story behind his capture and his incarceration. And in it, they talk about a stakeout at all the bridges in and around Atlanta, in the community where the murders were happening. And one night when they heard one officer heard a splash in the water, and they looked up, saw lights leaving the bridge, and they apprehended a man. They stopped a man. They questioned him. And it turned out to be Wayne Williams, and all kind of chaos happened from there. You're saying, Alex, there was a letter 6 months before that
That is correct.
that
It
is
was
saying,
mailed in
hey,
with-
Wayne Williams, he lives at this address. What? Go get him? He's the one you're looking for?
That is
What was it?
that is correct. And here's the kicker, is that the letter this correlates with that they're speaking of was mailed in to Director Webster in January of 1983. And the reason it was mailed in is because Klein and MS attempted to collect the reward that was offered by the city of Atlanta for the apprehension of the Atlanta child murderer. So
who's Klein?
What they did? What's that?
Who is Klein? Who is he?
Okay, Lawrence Klein is the individual that started all this for me back in 2007. I was able to obtain his name by solving one of the famous Zodiac ciphers. With my mindset and the way that my brain works, I'm really good with looking 2 or 3 layers deep into something. And it took me almost 5,000 attempts, but over the weekend I was able to figure out his process that he used, a multiple substitution based on a declining letter frequency, starting with the letter E, and work my way backwards. And what I did is I used my laptop to enter in each time I would get a new letter, applying, E, T, S, R, working my way backwards. I would put it in for an anagram until it would give me something that would make sense. And once I got to that point, it's spit out the name Lawrence Klein, which I didn't know who he was. I had never heard of the man.
Right.
And I went in, because what happened was we went to the movie in 2007. David Fincher had released the Zodiac movie.
Right.
And me and my fiance at that time went and saw the movie. And in this movie, they're talking about, Arthur Lee Allen. They're setting him up, and Rick Marshall as the Zodiac perpetrator, possibly one or the other. Especially Arthur Lee Allen. They make him look considerably guilty in the movie. That was the narrative for the Zodiac, until his DNA came back. That's proving he was not. And also his fingerprints came back. All 38 latent prints came back negative on Allen. But one print came back as positive for Lawrence Klein in the FBI files. And they requested more prints on him, which I've obtained. I got multiple sets on him. So back to what I'm saying is I was able to get this name out. So I go online, I Google this name that was anagrammed, and pops up Lawrence Klein is one of the primary suspects in the Zodiac case. Now I'm looking at a Zodiac letter. It just gave me this name. So I go online, I log in, go in one Zodiac forums, and I post it, not thinking, the consequences that may arrive afterwards.
Right.
And within 48 hours, I received an odd phone call. It showed up as a Las Vegas phone number, no name, just Las Vegas. And they asked me if I was interested in playing a game. And at that time, I had been using a sports book in Las Vegas by name. It was called Bodog at that time. I think now it's called Bravado. And that prior weekend, I remember I had actually lost considerably betting on the Cincinnati Bengals, which were my team. And I replied back to the gentleman, no, I'm not interested. You guys already took enough of my money. I thought they were calling to offer me a bonus, which they would do occasionally, especially if I lost. They would call and say, hey, we'll give you 50%. Yeah, to make another deposit. And I declined. And he asked me a second time. Very monotone voice, slight accent, almost like it was, pre-written or was predetermined what he was going to say.
Right.
And I declined a second time, and then he congratulated me on my post online, and he basically, stated that I was the first person that was able to break his code in nearly 40 years. And at that time, the hair on my neck stood up. I became very uncomfortable. And if I recall, I didn't reply back immediately. And then I believe he asked me a third time if I was interested in playing a game. At that time, I said absolutely not. And then immediately went into telling me where I lived, my whole name, my family's name, my fiance's name, even my employer at that time. Yes. Now, my mind's starting to roll, and I'm thinking, okay, this is a Sunday. How does he have access to the information? DMV's closed. Law enforcement, unless you have initial information in order to access that, you're not going to have it. You need a driver's license number, social security number, something along that line. And this made me extremely uncomfortable. At that time, I terminated the call. I spoke to my fiance at the time. I called her parents, spoke with her mother, who I took her opinion into my opinion on the same level. I was a very respected woman,
right?
And she told me it would be best just to let it go. Even if it's a hoax, someone had my information and had the ability to locate me and my family.
Right.
So at that point, I removed the post online, and within 3 months, me and my family relocated. We moved across town. At that point in time, I packed up the files. It actually wasn't a file at that time. It was just a bunch of scratch sheets of me working out the cipher. And I put them all in a file, in a folder, put them in a file cabinet, and I stored them, put them away. And then I forgot about them. And in 2018, January, Dave Toschi dies, San Francisco. And he is known as, the infamous detective that tried to apprehend the Zodiac, track this man down, to the point to where Hollywood made a movie. I'm sure you've heard of the Dirty Harry series with Clint Eastwood.
Right.
Dirty Harry is modeled after Toschi. That's where they, got the idea for him. Because if you remember in the first movie, Dirty Harry is just the name of it. He's tracking an individual by the name of Scorpio.
Right.
Who leaves letters, and is murdering people, innocent people. And that was they got that concept from the actual Zodiac killer. And after I saw his death flash up on the news, something, bulb went off in my head, and I'm thinking, wow, I think I still got these papers. I just got to find them. So contacted my wife, told her, she directed me. I was able to locate my folder with the information in it. And at that point in time, I started working on the other ciphers. There was another 4 that weren't decoded still. And this is, you got to understand, this is 11 years later. So I used the same formula. I was able to break the last 18 letters in the first cipher, which is the 408. I was able to, at that point, having known his name, the Zodiac's letter that he mailed in January of '74, which is called the Exorcist letter, because it discussed the Exorcist movie, which is in direct association with the DC Phantom, which I can prove that also. His name Klein's at the bottom. And you have all these people online, that take the hieroglyphics, as I call them, and they cut them in half and they manipulate them. There's no need. If you look at the letter, whoever's listening, if you pull it up online, it's called the Exorcist letter from the Zodiac, January 1974. If you look at it, all you got to do is invert the K, move the dot over to the third letter, which is the E, and you have Klein. No dismantling, no cut and paste. It's his name.
But
what's that?
there is one documentary where they're looking at the Zodiac Killer, and they track down this guy that worked in a library.
Yes, his name was Sullivan. That is correct.
Right.
He worked in the library at the same time that Sherry Jo Bates
exactly
had attended the library and was murdered. Here's another thing a lot of people don't know. Tom Boyd out there, he runs the number 1 Zodiac forum. Back in 2007, he had actually stated that he thought the signature at the bottom of the Bates letters, there's actually 3 of them. It looks like a Z with a wave on top. He thought that maybe it was an M over an L. Well, Tom, you were correct. It was Lawrence with an M, MS. His first name is over the top of it. So it's not a Z with a wiggle symbol on top. It's an M over an L. So Tom, I got to give you credit. You were correct on that if you're listening.
Wow.
But yes, they focused on Sullivan, and they also brought up Klein, which is in that documentary. He's known by Kane at that time, Kane. I was able to track down 14 known aliases that were attached to him. 3 of them legally, where he actually legally changed his name. So the other 11 were just names he made up to avoid apprehension and to be able to dodge from one state to the other without being traced or tracked. So, which he failed miserably, because I was able to track him through time. I know this man as well as I know my children.
So this image, this picture here of you sitting on the floor with all these papers laid out in front of you. This is you looking
at Klein's picture. If you look to the left of me, you can see his picture.
I have the image up now for those watching on kevinstew.com. You can see Alex at work. Basically.
Oh yeah, I do it all the time, man. My wife, it almost cost me my marriage. I was putting so much time into this, it almost became an obsession.
Funny enough, she was the one that posted this picture.
I literally became, I was not going to allow this man to get away. Once I got his name and I was able to decode the second 18 symbols, which gave me his complete name, his birth name, and his alias at that time. So I got 2 different ciphers giving me the same name plus additional information. Then you go to the Exorcist letter, which gives me his last name, Klein. And then you have the hidden clue within it, which is Exorcist, was filmed in Washington, D.C., DC Phantom. The doctor in the movie was Dr. Klein. Everybody Google it. Fact check me. Okay, and then here's another thing that ties into the DC Phantom. There was a note that was left on Brenda Denise Woodward in her jacket pocket. It was strung over her body. She was the 5th victim in DC. Okay, this note, it reads, this is tantamount to my insensitivity towards people, especially women. I'll admit to the others if you can catch me. Signed the DC or the Freeway Phantom. Excuse me. Well, he misspells insensitivity. Now, again, all the listeners, I want you to get on the computer and pull up the Freeway Phantom letter from 1972.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at insensitivity, it appears that it's misspelled with 5 I's. That is incorrect. Okay? The word TIT, tit, instead of having 2 I's on each side of the T's, they are exclamation points. Look closely. If you zoom in on them, you'll see they're not I's, they're exclamations. So he's actually alienating the word tit. So now the Zodiac's been missing for 2.5 years. He's disappeared. The police, law enforcement, citizens are assuming he's either deceased, incarcerated for another crime, or in a medical ward somewhere. Okay? January of 1974, he all of a sudden shows back up on the radar. He sends in this letter, the Exorcist letter. At the bottom of it, he quotes a Gilbert and Sullivan poem out of a Broadway act, okay, or an act in general. It's very famous if you look it up. And it says, tit willow, tit willow, tit willow. And he separates the tit willow. Unfortunately, in the actual original screenplay, the words are connected, okay? He separates the word tit from willow 3 times. So now, if you associate back where he's been for 2.5 years, he was missing. He shows back up. He says Exorcist, which was filmed in D.C. You have Klein, which is a doctor in the movie. You have Klein and hieroglyphics at the bottom. And now you have the word insensitivity from DC Phantom letter, which is the word tit. And you have tit willow 3 times at the bottom of the letter. Okay? So he's giving you
the clues,
numerous clues.
Yeah.
Oh, he wants to get caught. Let me ask you, what's the use of doing the perfect crime if nobody knows you're the one who did it?
Right.
Even Ted Bundy said he wanted to be caught. Very few serial killers go to their grave not admitting their crimes. They want the notoriety. They want to be known.
Yes, they want their name to live on. Yes.
Yes. They want to be remembered. You think back. Who's the most infamous serial killer ever? Jack the Ripper. Okay? Everybody knows Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Every listener out there has heard that name, I assure you. Whether it be the Johnny Depp movie that Hollywood produced or the documentary series that's been released, every 2 years or 3 years, everybody knows about the letter. The letter is, from hell. This is part of our culture. And they want people to remember them.
Yeah.
And he even says that. How many times in his letters did he say, who's going to play me in my movie? The actor's going to have it, cut out. It's going to have to cut it out for him. So, he's wanting this. And as I go through this, especially in the documentary series that we're releasing, every location we go to, I'm gonna flood you with all these clues. And they've been there the whole time. Right in front of law enforcement's eyes, the FBI, in front of the general public. All these, web sleuths that sit at home, armchair, all these people that have all these theories. The answers were right there before you the whole time. Everything was right there. You just had to assemble the puzzle.
But how does the Zodiac killer or killers tie in to Mark? I mean, not Mark. To Wayne. I know you mentioned the letter from.
Yeah,
from
what
Klein.
happens is correct. See, what happens is I don't go to a crime and try to make it fit with somebody. I let the person lead me to the crime scene.
Okay.
So I follow his tax records, any kind of mortgage, leases, anything he has, car purchases, rentals, hotel stays, any kind of documentary that I can track. Itineraries, flight itineraries. I have documentation of all kinds. Okay, so I'm able to track them, and so they're leading me all over the country, man. I'm talking everywhere. All in Florida, Texas, Kentucky, Montana, Oklahoma, California, New York, Ohio, Michigan, Tennessee, Pennsylvania. They're bouncing around everywhere, committing homicides. Well, as I'm following them, I end up in Atlanta. And this begins in late 1978, early 1979. Okay, so as I'm sitting there, I'm wondering, okay, well, what's going on at this time? Well, the Atlanta child murders was the big thing.
Right.
That was everybody knew about. And I've already connected them to OCCK, the Oakland County Child Murders. I know they murdered Suzanne Dignon back in 1945, 7-year-old. I know they kidnapped Margaret Ellen Fox from Burlington, New Jersey in 1974, June of 74. Okay. I have the audio from them that matches the one the FBI released a year and a half ago. You know, after 40 years, they finally released the audio recording of her abductor. And I get one of the original copies before it was put online of Klein's voice from a buddy of mine, Travis Miller, if you're listening. A shout out to you, buddy. And he gets it from the Eileen Barton estate, who was Klein's first wife back in 1945. They got married in summer of 45. It's from her actual archives in her estate. She's famous. She was, she's had a #1 hit song, was on the Frank Sinatra show, had her own show, the Eileen Barton show. So this information is validated. It's not just found somewhere and someone's had it.
Right.
Okay. So I run a voice analysis on it, stenograph. It comes back, and it's a hit. And I mean, the trained ear can hear it anyways. If you go through and play the recording, and then play the FBI release of the abductor, if anybody, I mean, Helen Keller could realize it's the same person.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I knew that they were, perpetrators in the crimes involving children already. So I knew that foundation was already established. So I went and got the Freedom of Information Act, obtained the FBI files, which is over 2,600 pieces of paper. And as I'm going through them, guess what I find? A letter from the Zodiac. And he's telling you in the letter, that he's there. He's stalking your children. He uses the same linguistics that I mean, if you follow such people as Fitzgerald, who used linguistics to actually help apprehend the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. That's how he got on his trail. Was his letters. He left all these letters spanning decades, and he was able to, pinpoint certain phrases he used, certain words that he used, and they were excessive. So he was able to go back and track him through time using these words and the way he would use them. Everybody has a unique way of speaking.
Right.
The larger the pool, the higher the chances of getting two people that may speak similar. Okay, their script may be similar. But when you're talking about serial killers, there's only a couple of thousand. So you're trying to tell me over 60 years you have multiple serial killers that use the same linguistics, same language, the same term exactly? Absolutely not. Now, if you had 100,000, I could see there being a possibility, maybe even 10,000. But when you only have a few thousand in that small sample pool,
right?
It's impossible, absolutely impossible. And with that, I was like, wow. So then I started going through and looking at all the letters that they received, and as I'm looking at them, I'm recognizing the handwriting. I'm recognizing the language they're using, and I also recognize MS's initials in the letter. So I'm going back to the other letters I have from other crimes, from 1950, 1947, 1960, where they sent in letters with MS on them, the initials. So I got the Zodiac letter. I have the handwriting. I have the them mailing the letter in December of 1980, setting Wayne Williams up, okay, providing his information as offering up to the FBI. And then I also have them giving, MS's initials in the letter. And then they use the same distinctive layout that they used in the OCCK letter, the one that was mailed to Dr. Bruce Danto. If you were to read that letter and then read this letter that's in the FBI files for the Act Kid, it's almost like regurgitation. The whole, we were in Vietnam, we're killing the children. The ones in Atlanta were being killed because they were poor and they were trying to save them from being suffering. The ones in OCCK were being murdered because they were wealthy and they wanted someone to pay, wanted someone to suffer.
Right.
So, and then you have, like I said, the initials. You have the same format and layout linguistically. And, things started clicking in my head. So then I started digging deeper. And the deeper I dug, the more I found. I mean, the actual zodiac letter itself, there's three. Everybody listening, pull up the Atlanta zodiac letter if you want to Google it. It's 1981, March 8th is when it was mailed. It's also known as the Petrie letter. If you look at it, there's three letters in the whole script itself they're highlighted or have some indication that draws you to them. The first one is the letter D in the word bodies. It's underlined. Just the letter D is underlined.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you move to the right, you'll see the word pick and pick off. He has quotations, but just one over the P. There's no connection. The script between the first and the second has zero association. So you move to the end and you'll see the C in clues. It has the same quotation mark over it. Only three letters in the whole script. Now, what is, if you put it together, it's DC Phantom, DCP.
Right.
He's telling you he was the DC Phantom. Right in the letter. No one's ever picked up on that. I'm for a loss of words.
As you're saying it, I'm trying to put two and two together, and as you said it at the end, I got it.
That's what happens. Once I direct people to it, they're like, wow, this has been here for, all these years. And you got to remember, they didn't release this to the public until 2010. So any letters that I can associate prior to 2010 could only be written by the murderer or the perpetrator himself, because he wouldn't know the content of another letter.
Exactly.
So if I can associate 2, 3, 4, 5 letters spanning 2, 3, 4 decades, okay, that have connections between them, that in itself proves to you that this was the same perpetrator. Because these letters, the ones, that were in Oakland, wasn't released until the 2000s. DC Phantom was not released until the 2000s. The infamous Zodiac Exorcist letter wasn't released. So how does the writer of these letters that to the eye have no association, how does he know the content in the other letter, in the previous letter?
Right.
It's impossible unless you are the author of that letter.
It couldn't be a copycat because that information wasn't out.
Thank you. It wasn't general knowledge. It wasn't general public. This is what they call guilty evidence. If you speak to a law enforcement officer, this is information only the perpetrator would know. Sometimes they keep information back from the public deliberately, because that way they can obtain a prosecution, because that person is the only one that could know the information that they withhold is the perpetrator himself.
Right.
So now everybody's starting to connect the dots as I'm laying this out. Okay, I showed you the DC Phantom. He announces, as the Zodiac, he announces to the public he sent to DC. There's 2 letters. And here's another thing. You have these people, from Quantico. Some of them are excellent agents. Some of them, not so much. Okay? You have these people that get these letters, and they're like, "Oh, this handwriting doesn't look the same." Well, then he's telling you in the letter that he's altering his handwriting. He's telling you, "Oh, this is me, but my handwriting looks different. I'm changing my handwriting." Or he's saying, "Well, this what he's saying here doesn't pertain to a prior letter." Okay, so they're saying, "Well, this is a copycat or a hoax." Well, the 2 Fairfield letters from December of 69, one came in on December 7th, one came in on December 16th. The first one states that they're going to murder more people, or he is. He says that the will be a cop, which makes no sense. People are thinking he forgot the Y. It's supposed to be they will be a cop, right? It's not. He's of Hebrew descension. That's where he comes from. Okay, he's from Hungary. the Old Testament. The, thee, thy, thou. Okay? It's thee. Thee will be a cop. You know, when you go to a wedding, you know, thee, when they're giving their vows to each other, they're talking about themselves. He's saying, I will be a cop. He's telling you how he's planning on committing his next crimes. So the next letter a week later comes in, and if you read the letter, everybody, you look up Fairfield Zodiac letter, December 16th, 1969. Okay? The second line says, I'm going for the government life. Now, where's the government located? Nobody says government when we're going to kill a cop or a police officer. You know what I'm saying? Where's our government located?
DC.
Washington, D.C. Where's the Capitol building, right? Okay. You move down another line, and he says, don't forget me. He's telling you not to forget him. So if I'm the Zodiac and I'm committing these crimes in the Bay Area, I have a couple years here built up, and I'm leaving. But if I'm not leaving, I'm not going to say don't forget me, right? When you say goodbye to your mother, your brother, your sister, your aunt.
Yep.
But you're not leaving. You're not here for a visit from holidays. You don't say don't forget me. You say bye, mom, love you. I'll see you soon. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Right? Use his terminology. This is again language linguistics. He's saying don't forget me because he's leaving. He's relocating.
Yeah.
He's moving to DC. So then he goes to DC, commits these crimes. While he's in DC, the first murder is in April of 1971. Okay. After the first three murders, he mails what's called the Monticello letter. Okay. And everybody's like, Monticello, that's Monticello, California. No, people, it's not. Monticello Mansion is located in Virginia. His third victim, okay, Brenda Crockett, calls back and tells her little sister, who answers the phone because she's missing. A white man has abducted me and has taken me into Virginia, right over the DC line. Okay? She hangs up the phone. 20 minutes later, 25 minutes later, depending on what report you read, she calls back. Her stepfather, or at that time, it was her mother's fiance, from what I understand, answers the phone. She says, regurgitates the same thing. She says, a white man has abducted me, and I'm in Virginia. He's sending me home in a cab. The last accredited murder to Zodiac is what murder? It's the Paul Stein murder. Okay?
Right.
Here's another connection.
The cab driver, he got shot in the head.
Yeah. Right. So I'm going to give you another one here. It's pretty obvious. No one's ever seen either. Just give me a moment. So she's telling him, the white man sending me home in a cab from Virginia. Well, we come back that month, okay, July, the letter's mailed in to California. And it's called the Monticello letter. Where's Monticello Mansion located? Right over the line in Virginia from where? D.C. Okay. And he says, sought victims 21. Now, his last known letter to the L.A. Times, at the bottom of it, his murder tally, is 17 plus. Not 17, 17 plus. What's the next number?
18.
After 17. That's correct. So you take the 17 plus, you move to 18. Okay, there's 3 murders in D.C. What's 18 plus 3?
21.
21.
That's correct. So the Monticello letter says what? Sought victims 21. April, or dies in the woods. April dies in the woods, excuse me. Okay, what's April? It's not a woman's name. It's when he started committing the murders in D.C. April of 1970. All right. So you got the 3 plus 18 is 21. He's telling you it's Monticello, which is where he took Crockett across the line into Virginia. All right. And he just laid it all out for you. Nobody picks up on it. So now we're going to go back in time to the last acknowledged murder of his, which is Paul Stein. Paul Stein picks up a cab fare down at Mason Street, excuse me. Drives
in the Theater District. North.
Yes. Which at that time, Klein lived just a block and a half away at Eddy Street. It was 217 Eddy Street. He lived a block and a half away from where the Zodiac was picked up. All right. So let's just say that's a coincidence, right? So he directs himself towards the Presidio. And he tells him originally, and it's in the cab log, he wants Washington and Maple Street. All right. So when the police get to the crime scene after it's committed, these children on the caddy corner witness the crime. They hear the shot. They witness him wiping down the cab and
Right.
walking away. He leans over. He cuts off the larger section
Of
off
the
the
shirt.
back of Stein's shirt. Yeah, which he mails in later. He actually cuts it in 3 parts. A lot of people only think there was 2 parts mailed in. There was 3, just so everybody knows. Okay. He cuts this out. He exits the premises. He leaves the location. He's stopped by Officer Falk and his partner. Is questioned. Now, to this day, there's discrepancy there. Falk says he didn't stop him. He just saw him walking by. His partner at one time before he was murdered stated they did stop him. So with that being said, do you want to be remembered as a police officer that had the Zodiac and let him go?
Of course not.
Absolutely. But what I'm going to tell you later on, there's 3 officers over a span of 3 decades that had him in their possession and let him go. Which is even more, it's even more horrific. Because how many lives could they have saved after that?
But they would have to have known that they had him in order to save the lives. They didn't know.
They didn't realize until after the fact. The Deputy Hannah stopped him after the Dana Loam abduction and murder. Dana's body's in his car. She's slumped over. He gets out of the car wearing his suit and his jacket and shirt. He remembers his bushy eyebrows and his glasses and his speech pattern. He identifies him later, okay? But he's in the middle of the desert, about a desert. He's out of CB range. He can't call back to headquarters. He can't run the tag. Klein gets out, meets him halfway out of the car, says, hey, I'm on my way home, from San Francisco. I'm tired. That's why I'm driving erratically. And this woman slumped over in the car. He leads the officer, Deputy Hannah, to believe that his the woman that's in his car is tired and sleeping. She's dead. He shot her in the temple with a .22 long rifle. Okay, right there. You're feet away from catching the infamous Zodiac killer. And he lets him go.
Wow.
Well, Dana Lowell's boyfriend, who was there at the time she was abducted, he actually ran. He became fearful whenever he took the keys from the vehicle and walked around to her passenger side. Top High jumped out of the car and ran. He was a young child. I can't condemn him for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Klein gets her out and has her call to him to try to bait him out of his hiding. And then Klein mocks her as she's calling out. Klein's making fun of her, yelling out after her, repeating it.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, he identified the vehicle, the MG, down to the missing grille in the front and the antique tag on the back. He couldn't remember the numbers on the tag, but he did identify the vehicle, the driver. Literally, he identified him to a T. And then saw him in what he called a watering hole in Vegas. He was actually at a bar drinking. Top High came and saw him and said, "Oh shit, this is the guy that abducted Dana, my girlfriend." And goes to call the police. Comes back, he's already exited and left.
Right.
So, and there's a connection later on in 2001 murder that goes back to that. But back to Paul Stine. So we got Washington Maple Street. You pull up. What's the first thing you see at the crime scene photo? You see the passenger door open. You see a large puddle of blood. You see the hand and head of Paul Stine extended outside of the passenger side door. Okay. Below his hand, there is the cab log. That is there deliberately. He's putting that there beneath his hand for the police to first identify it and then to look at it. Inside it says Washington Maple. But the car is located at Washington Cherry. That's where he actually shot Stine in the back of the head with a 9mm. Why?
And left the shell casing.
Around. Yes. And they're thinking, okay, maybe when they pulled up to Washington Maple, it was a pedestrian walking. So we're walking a dog, standing on the corner, something that would have stopped him from being able to, complete what he had early planned. That, he wanted to shoot him back of the head, take the piece of the cloth, the bloody cloth, and leave. So he had him drive further down another block to Washington Cherry. This is incorrect, okay? The reason he did that is he staged the log with with Washington maple in it, and he moved into Washington cherry. What's Washington cherry? George Washington, and the cherry
Cherry
tree.
tree.
He cut the cherry tree down. He's baiting you with his last known crime as a Zodiac that he's leaving for DC. That's October. Okay?
Right.
November,
Can I make
he
it?
murders Doreen Gall and her boyfriend Sharp, sends in a letter, the Halloween card everybody looks at, and says, "Oh, I can solve this." Why do you think the eyes are missing from the skeleton? He removed Doreen and Mr. Sharp's right eye from both their corpses. He's giving you clues. He then leaves a letter back at her apartment, okay, that connects him to Elizabeth Short in the letter. And he uses an L for an I. Instead of IK, he uses LK. All his I's are the L in the typewriter.
Right.
He's giving you his initials. So he just told you Stein. He's going to DC anyway. So he writes the Fairfield letter. So a month and a half later, tells you he's going for the government life. Tells you not to forget him. That he's going to be a cop. That's how he was able to maneuver within the black community. What's the one thing that they don't look at if they come to their committee or their community? They see them, and then they kind of walk away.
Right.
Especially back here. At that time, Vietnam War's going on. There's a lot of tension. Racism's at a high. You think it's bad now? Should have seen it then. So, you have the Black Panther movement going on. A lot of stuff's going on, especially in D.C. with the Vietnam War. And he's portraying himself as a police officer, maneuvering within these communities of the black community, and he's abducting their children, just like he did in Atlanta. And he's leaving you clues. He's telling you what he's doing and when he's going to do it.
Yeah.
And nobody picks up on it. Nobody puts two and two together.
That's crazy.
This is where my
doing.
Yeah, this is where my perceptionism. I was diagnosed with at a young age. My mom took me to a psychiatrist 2 times, because I would isolate myself. I didn't like interacting with people because I couldn't communicate with them. I didn't feel they understood me.
Got you.
After being identified, it means that my sensory, I operate in unison. Most people, they operate, 3 or 4 of your sensories at one time. Your eyes, your ears, your mouth, your taste, your feel. Mine work in unison. So when I look at something or feel something, say something, I get the full effect. When I look at a code, I can see 2 or 3 layers deep. I'm able to see things that are hidden. That the average person's eye does not see.
That's
and
interesting.
most of my life, I've shied away from it. I've lived in isolation. I'm not a people person.
Right.
So when I got involved in this, I made the decision that it was time to do something. I'm getting older. I might as well put it to use. I got to help these people. People like Catherine Leach, Venus Taylor, Barry King in Oakland County, his son Timothy King, the Stebbins family, these Milchek family, all these children, that were taken, and teenagers. Somebody needs to make somebody be held accountable. Somebody's got to say, look, enough's enough. Here's the truth. Here's the connections. Now everybody knows. Because there's so many theories out there, so many narratives.
Yeah.
Everybody and their brother thinks they know the truth. I'm showing you the truth. I'm allowing you to sit at your home on your computer and fact check me. I want you to disprove me. I want you to bring me some kind of evidence, whether it be email it to me, put it on our Zodiac Connection on Facebook. Prove me wrong.
So
I'm asking you. I want you to.
Oh, 1 second, Alex. DeWayne.
Yes.
So you were gonna say something just now. Oh.
Yeah. When he gets to flowing, sometimes you gotta let him go because he'll just keep dropping like things on you that'll blow your mind. But
I'm totally mindless right now because my
Right.
mind is so gone. It's just blown completely out.
Right.
This is just 15%, my friend. I'm only showing you a small fracture of what we're going to release in the documentary series. You're getting a taste Matt's in the hole.
And I'm gonna
contract.
ask you about that series in just a moment. Before we have to jump off of this for tonight.
Let me make a point real quick. That's
Sure,
also
Dwayne.
mind blowing about what he was able to discover. And if you go back to the conversation, and this is why him and I have been able to work so well together, because I am well versed and well studied in different esoteric knowledge and things of that nature. And what he was saying earlier about the number 21, right?
Yeah.
Big symbolism in the number 21 in this society that we live in, and also in esoteric doctrine. Actually, when you look at the 666 or the mark of the beast in Greek, it's actually Zane, 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 and the 666 actually looks like 3 sevens together. And the 3 sevens would be 21, and that's the jackpot as well.
Right.
Equally important to understand, because, like he said, this man was basically a genius, and he was playing a game this whole time. So it's a lot for people to understand. But
He called it a game. He announced
right,
it was a game.
right. He was telling you that the guy has he's from the Hebrew or Jewish tradition, right? And the number 21 also relates to the story of Moses in the Bible, where God is saying, "I am that I am," right?
Mm-hmm.
That the number associated with that is the number 21. And when you get into the numerology and things like what's called gematria, the study of numbers and geometry and how they equate to language and different communications that become very popular in these type of fields of study.
Right.
When he explained to you earlier how he would communicate and speak about himself and saying thee or thy or thou, right? Like the communication in the Bible or how the Bible is worded. Equally important to understand is that the word for God in Greek is theos.
Yes.
So that's why they call the study of God, or when somebody becomes a preacher or a pastor, they have to study what? Theology. Because the studyology means study. The study of thee is the study of God.
Mm-hmm.
So he's basically saying in a indirect way, I am that I am, like God says in the Bible. He speaks and he says, "Thee, thy, thou."
Yes.
In the way that he says it, right?
You're right.
And then equally, what blew my mind when just listening to him all the time, and he breaks all this stuff down to me, he explains it. What blew my mind as well is the fact that he was just telling you about Virginia and DC, right?
Yes.
What are the two bordering states of DC?
Um.
Maryland.
Virginia, Virginia and
Maryland.
Maryland, right?
Yeah.
Virgin Mary, the
Yeah. The
Virginia,
DMV.
Virgin
Right.
Maryland, right? So that's why he went into DC as well.
Yeah, let me
You
throw
know.
another one out there real quick for him too. I don't want to cut you off, DeWayne, but what I'm thinking
Yeah,
about
go ahead, bro.
the Margaret Ellen Fox murder from June of 1974 with the audio tape that was released by the FBI a little over a year and a half ago. And I was able to do a voice analysis which matched, pinged, and he's leaving these clues. He uses the name John Marshall. Okay, if you're familiar with history, who is John Marshall? He was Thomas Jefferson's right-hand man.
Yes.
Okay?
I knew I know that name from
And
somewhere.
where did he reside? Monticello. He ties all of his murders together. Okay?
Oh my
And
goodness.
then, oh, it runs deep, man. This runs so deep, it's mind-boggling. The stuff that I uncovered.
When is this documentary coming out?
We are actually going to begin filming, I believe, at this point in stage where we're scheduled to start next month.
Yeah, next month we start filming.
And
That's correct. And
you
what we're going to do,
propose this will be how long? The filming will take how long?
Well, what we're doing is we're going to each location. Go ahead, Dwayne.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. So, and again, this is why this is so beautiful how him and I work together, because how I even got involved in the Wayne Williams case and the Wayne Williams Freedom Project is I was actually filming a documentary about Wayne's case. So initially, I wasn't even his advocate against his injustice. I was just supposed to be the filmmaker making his documentary.
Right.
So now what we're working on gives me the opportunity to lend my expertise in this way. But we will how we're filming this is we're filming this as a real time documentary series, and what that means is that the progress that we make, the viewer will actually interactively be able to view on a case-by-case basis on everything that we pretty much work to compile in this documentary. It will be documented, and they will be able to go along with us in the process. So we actually have a very huge interview coming up. You know, the cameraman is going to be following us as we go to do this interview. Like, it's going to be that type of documentary series, in which is almost going to be filmed like a reality TV show. And the great thing about the freedom that we have is that we're filming this completely and totally with our own resources, and we're doing it completely and totally independently, which means that the things that are most important to finally bringing the viewing audience to conclusions that will give them clarity and exonerate Wayne and tell the truth about all of these murders that these two perpetrators committed, it won't be edited out. So we'll be able to tell the complete, unadulterated truth about what really happened. So this is not going to be any fluff. It's not going to be any misdirection. It's not going to be anything that will be told down the middle, as they like to say. It's going to be the actual, pure, unadulterated truth about what really happened, and we're going to be able to lay it out and give all the proof that coincides with each particular case.
So let me ask you this, as we're wrapping up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, with this information, that Wayne will be exonerated or released? Either way, he'll get out.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can you not?
That,
I mean, I'm bringing to your face. I'm handing you documentation that you already have in your possession, so it's not altered. I'm giving you information, putting it together.
Well, Rodney Reed has. There's a letter in the Rodney Reed Stacey Stites murder case. There's proof that Rodney and Stacey knew each other, and the argument was that they didn't know each other, and he just randomly selected her and raped her and killed her. You know, so and he's still trying to get retrial
because he hasn't had me look at his case yet.
You know, when I tell you I need to introduce you to David Fisher, believe me, I need to introduce you to David Fisher, because there's information that is on this that David went through and fine teeth comb kind of picked up, just like how you did your work, and I'm seeing the similarities in both of you, and it's crazy, but it's crazy in a good way. Will this documentary need to come out before Wayne will get any kind of either retrial or exoneration or anything like that, or does this documentary need to come out first and point fingers and reveal hidden secrets before that can happen?
Yes.
Well, absolutely. Because DeWayne's been fighting for 7 years. He's been spinning his tires trying to get some traction here, and everybody keeps roadblocking him. They keep putting up. He's run into dead ends, and with me coming into the picture, I'm able to fill in the gaps that he didn't have.
Right.
And with his interviews of witnesses, people, family members, along with the evidence that I uncovered, we're able, once we release this, we're putting pressure on law enforcement. We're doing this a different route. Instead of going to them and asking them to approve it,
Yes.
we're having the general public look at it for themselves. We want America. We want the world. All your listeners that are overseas.
Yeah.
We want them to take the time to fact check me. Please, I'm asking all of you listeners,
Right.
get online, use Google, Yahoo, whatever you use, and prove me wrong.
Right.
Come to the Zodiac Connection on Facebook. Look it up. We'll accept your membership, bring you into the group. Read what I've already posted, which is about 15-20% of my findings. I've kept a lot of them back for the documentary series.
Right.
And I'm going to have the public be demanding Wayne's release once they see all the facts. I'm going to have people demanding the exoneration of William Hirons after 65 years in prison, even though he passed away in 2000.
Right.
And I think it was 12, remember correctly. I'm going to have the public speak for us.
Okay.
We announced in the land that we're going to social media. We're supervision law enforcement at this point in time, okay? And then they're going to have no option but to contact us. So once this gets out there and everybody views it, I've already been speaking to the FBI and local law enforcement scattered across the country, and they're already working on the case. But some of these I've withheld deliberately because they're rather large pieces of evidence.
Right.
And I'm going to save it for the public.
So
I want the public to know the truth.
again, where do people go on social media to connect with you?
The one I have now, the website's going up the day the documentary is being released. We're going to do it in unison. And right now, if you want to follow, go to the Zodiac Connection on Facebook.
The Zodiac Connection.
Like I said, Zodiac Connection. Right. We'll be more than happy to accept your membership. We want you to view what we've released so far, and with connections to Zodiac, Sherry Joe Bates, 66. All the hidden stuff that I showed for OCCK, DC Phantom. The other murders, the individual murders, like Carla Walker,
the Atlanta children murder.
Correct. And I want you guys. It's pretty simple. I'm giving you the whole puzzle. And you'll see it. You'll assemble it yourself. I already have, this is kind of cool. Of everybody that's in our membership, I've had 2 teenagers come to me within the last week, and they figured out who MS was. They took the information. I was dropping clues in the Zodiac Connection, hoping somebody would pick up on it. And these 2 young individuals contacted me, and they figured out on their own who MS was. They did their own research from what I provided and went backwards and found out who he was.
Right.
This is exciting to me. This gives me hope. That there's people out there that aren't brainwashed, that aren't that do not have the narrative in stone. That they're open to the truth. That's all we're asking. Have an open mind. Forget everything you know or think you know. Come in with an open mind. Look at the evidence, and then for yourself make a decision.
Listen, you guys are just phenomenal, and I haven't gone on to the Zodiac Connection yet. I give you my word. By morning I'll be there, and morning is 19 minutes away.
We'd like to have you on board, Stu. I mean, we already got Donnie Walker on there. We have
in
Joe Cochran.
I'm
who's
in,
a Hall
bro.
of Fame reporter for broadcast.
Yeah,
Joe Cochran's is an outstanding individual. He's in the Hall of Fame for reporting and broadcasting. He's actually on board with our team. After he was able to review my evidence, he said, wow, I'm willing to put my career on the line right here, right now, my Hall of Fame status to expose this. I'm willing to put my name out there and attach it to this, okay? We have Adam Bullis, who's the editor. He's also put his name on the line. We're in contact with Fox. We have one of the largest publishers that we've spoken to that's having a sit down in New York who wants our story. One of the largest international to release it. Okay, these people have reviewed evidence and they're saying, "Wow, we want you guys to come to us, or we'll come to you." I was even offered for them to fly to me, sit down to review, everything I had.
Yeah,
not just the small fraction I showed them. So we're gaining momentum, and you got to understand, we're doing this out of our pocket. We have not collected
Is
one
there
dime.
is
Not
there
one
any
dime.
way that anyone who wants to contribute or to help to fund all of this, is there any way for them to get in touch and any medium for them to do that?
We have a GoFundMe we just opened up to help put forth some of the funds to assist us in making the documentary and to travel. We're traveling to San Francisco. We're going to go to DC to film. We're going to go to New York. We're going to go to all the infamous crime scenes.
Yeah.
We're going to film on site. And we're paying for our own room and board, travel, and whatever, our own pockets. But we do have a GoFundMe account. It's called the Zodiac Connection.
Okay. The
The
same name
accident unveiled.
as the group page.
That's correct. If you go to GoFundMe, we only put it up for 5,000. Look, we're not trying to get rich.
Right.
You know, if anybody that's listening wants to contribute to our cause, a couple bucks, so you $5, $10, it adds up.
Right.
If not, we're going to move forward.
It's gonna happen anyway.
If you would like to be a part of the movement, if you want to see the truth and you want to contribute and be a part of history, please, by all means, help us.
Yeah.
If you can't, we understand. We're not begging for money. If you can do it, fine. If not, we're still gonna release the truth one way or another.
Listen, Alex, DeWayne, we
Yes.
we'll do a follow up. We're gonna do a follow up, and
Cool.
for those of you listening in wherever you're listening in from, the UK, Jamaica, Virgin Islands, Spain, wherever you are listening from right now, those locked in on Reggae Global Radio, One Harmony Radio, Foundation Radio Network, PEMGTV.com, the Zodiac Connection on Facebook. Go there, join the group, ask the questions. This
Absolutely.
broadcast will be in the video archives on kevinstew.com by morning. If you missed it,
one
go
quick
back.
before we go, Kev.
Yeah.
Can I say something real quick?
Okay, go ahead.
It's so much that we, like Alex said, it's only 10-15%. The blaring thing that we want to impress upon people about the murders that he talked about and the connections to Atlanta, the most damning evidence that was tried to be linked to Wayne Williams during the Atlanta child murders was carpet fiber analysis and dog hairs.
Yes.
Through Alex's work, we've been able to discover that the Atlanta child murders, the Oakland County child murders, and the Freeway Phantom murders in D.C. all had the same green carpet fibers and white dog hairs. Alex also found out that a girl named Kimberly King's jacket,
That's a leather jacket?
No,
Negative. It was a
Okay.
windbreaker.
It was a windbreaker. She was abducted or last seen in Oakland County, Michigan. A kid in Atlanta named Terry Pugh was found dead wearing her jacket. He was found dead in Atlanta. And she was last seen wearing this jacket in Detroit, Michigan, or in Oakland County, Michigan.
And she's the final associated victim of the OCCK killer. And her body was located, found on the premises of what was called the Columbia Mall at that time in 1981. Actually, it was 1979. December 79, they found her. She went missing in September of 79 from Oakland. That was one of their clues. They placed her body there and then put the jacket, the windbreaker with Kim on it, just up the street from where Terry Pugh was abducted, within a mile. So this is the kind of clues that they leave. And, I was able, once I got onto them, and I was able to associate their mindset and how they thought, everything it opened up a whole new avenue.
Wow. Listen, you guys, like I said, we're going to have to do a follow-up. Again, people, the Zodiac Connection, contribute to the GoFundMe, go join the Facebook page. Listen, I got to bounce. I thank you guys for taking the time out to share with us. We'll talk about doing a follow-up to this. Again, I don't want to have it too close to this time because I want
We
people going
understand.
back and reviewing this information, and then we come back again and 5%. I don't even want another 15. 5. I'll take 5.
Okay, I could probably do that before the documentary series. I could probably give you another 5. Here's one thing I do want to. I know you got to go. Let me give one more piece out there. There's an
Yeah.
infamous cipher. Okay, that people have said, "Oh, we solved." History Channel did their whole hunt for the Zodiac. And at
Right.
the last episode, he said, "I think I figured it out," and he had, here it is, blah blah blah, and then Richard Nixon at the bottom. Okay, I'm gonna explain to everybody right now, real quick. I'm gonna give you a treat that I released on Drew's show when he did the podcast for us. If you take the famous 340 cipher, he gave you a clue in a Halloween card. What you do is you remove the cross, you drop the bottom line off, and that reads in itself, I am the Zodiac, LK with symbol. You take the center out, it runs all the way down, and you take the crossbar out, which is 2 subtraction marks on each side, or divisional marks on each side. In each quadrant, there's 4 equal quadrants left. There's a period in each of them. One has 0, one has 1, one has 2, and one has 3. For everybody listening, if you listen to me and you dismantle that cipher, the periods are the clue. It tells you how to assemble the 4 equal quadrants. Once you do that, you should be able to actually solve the cipher. It'll give you, and when you do solve it, you're going to be stunned what it says. So
I'm
use
gonna
the
go check
periods
that
to set
out.
it up. Yeah, drop the bottom line off. Take the cross out of the middle. He actually showed you how to do that in the Halloween card. Then use the periods. Put them in sequence, guys. 0, 1, 2, 3 for the periods in each quadrant, and then figure it out. So that'll be a little treat for you guys.
Listen, you guys have a great night. Thank you. We'll be talking. And
I appreciate you having us on, Kevin.
yo, mind is blown. Mind blown.
Check out the Facebook. You'll
I'll
blow your
be-
mind a little bit more.
I'll be on there before the night is out. Another 11 minutes? I'll be on there, bro.
We appreciate you having us, Kevin. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, y'all take care. We'll talk.
Absolutely.
All right.
We'll talk to you later.
Thank you, brother.
All right, blessings.
No one forever. I look and know the truth.
This is the sound of Jadan.
No debate, no way. Why you hype up yourself? How you know say I like
The track is called Truth.
the truth? No call for no argument, no way. So why you want defend?
We don't need anything more appropriate than this to kick off our mini musical therapy.
You confuse yourself. Run down money and you don't got no help. Put your heart where you can't reach it. You ready? I see people things. Tell me why you want if it have a whole team.
Once again, check it out.
It's no
The
sin.
Zodiac Connection.
Come here, so fi speak it to everyone.
While this Jadan tune gonna play, I'm going on there like now.
Secret, tell us the truth. Don't need no defense, no way. Why you want defend yourself when you know say a lie you a tell? The truth, no call for no argument, no way. So why you want hype up yourself when you know say a lie?
My joining is pending.
So every action, I go bring up a reaction. Why you want to play the victim when you know how you do me wrong? You know it hurt me, 'cause you could have
I
killed.
want to thank you guys for tuning in.
Have you as a brother? So
Reggae Global family.
should I never be? Tell me
I know it wasn't music for you,
me energy,
but 10 to midnight Eastern time,
me.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
You have life, you are gonna live
This is what happens.
me.
Mondays, Community and Finance. Tuesdays, Healthy Love. Wednesdays, Real Talk.
No way.
Also known as Marlon's favorite night shift show.
Yourself when you know say a lie you a tell the truth. No call for no argument, no way. So was say I lie, you are tell the truth. The girl no argument, no way. Why you are defend yourself when you don't say I lie? It's been a long, long time since I've embraced
This is Lady Tia.
you, for I never knew
It's called Bring It On.
love existed before. You make my heart skip several beats. Yes, you swept me off my feet. I'm head over heels in love, and there's no retreat. You can tell by the way
Blessings, Jay.
me glow that my love has overflowed. The vibes I feel right now, it's all because of you. Said you wanna wrap me up and keep me warm. Give me good love from dusk till dawn.
Hey, everybody, make sure you line up yourself, you know.
Just bring it on.
Mixmaster J Earth Date coming up on Thursday.
And let us
I almost said Wednesday.
to where we've never been before. You and me
Big party. In fact,
in ecstasy.
we're partying this week
Whisper sweet,
because Jay's Earth Date is this Thursday.
show me
We're partying next week
care.
because my Earth Date is next Thursday.
Let's live out this fantasy. You can tell.
Party after party after party.
See me glow, that my love has overflowed. The vibes I feel right now, it's all because of you. Said you wanna wrap me up and keep me warm. Give me good love from dusk till dawn. I'm ready, baby. Just bring it on. Baby, when you left,
Yeah, cut and go through.
breathing.
This is Sonia Brown.
When you left, my heart stopped.
Sorry, Sophia Brown. Baby, when you left.
When you left, I stopped smiling.
You know, Mark,
Living, 'cause now I'm all alone.
I don't know how I'm going to really work it out, you know.
Never been so lonely. It's nesting on my mind.
Between you and Pablo.
Oh, I'm not feeling fine. No, I never felt so longing for someone. I feel like I would cry. Yeah, I may have messed up, but I'm willing to try again, yeah, baby. It doesn't matter whose fault it was, 'cause this love is a blessing.
Tatiana, you still with us? Good morning.
No replacing. Baby, when you left, I stopped breathing.
MRT for Mixmaster. Good morning.
Baby, when you left, my heart stopped beating. Oh, baby, when you left, I stopped smiling. Now I stopped living, 'cause now I'm all alone. Yeah, I tried to move on, but it wasn't the same. 'Cause nobody loved me like you do. Yeah, I've looked into the mirror, then I start blaming myself.
Let me say 4 minutes to go.
I think that I've learned my lesson.
I guess I can hot up your nerves just a little bit.
But I'm willing to try again, yeah, baby. It doesn't matter whose fault it was, 'cause this love is a blessing, and there is no replacing. Baby, when you left, I stopped breathing.
Alright, I got the bounce on out of here.
My heart stopped beating.
See Rise coming up at midnight.
When you left,
But I'm back tomorrow. Healthy love. Remember, you all follow the list, you know.
'cause now I'm all,
For those of you on Reggae Global Radio,
yeah.
stay tuned. Enough more music, enough more vibes on the way.
Nothing feels the
Those of you locked in on One Harmony Radio, top of the morning till you get your day started.
it drives me.
WGLR Rope, folks.
Oh, baby, when you
Get some rest. Those on PEMGTV.com. Get some rest.
'cause I stopped living
ClintonLindsay.com.
all alone.
Get some rest.
Yeah, baby, when you left,
Yeah, this is bouncing out tonight.
Trying to hold
The uncommissioned remix.
for so long.
Mr. Marvin Gaye and Miss Joanna Marie.
You feel like I
Best
feel
believe.
it, then come on. Oh, come on. Woo! Let's get it on.
Hey, babe.
Yes, baby.
I really want you close to me.
I want to be close to you too, Joanna.
I like the way you feel.
Let's love.
I like how you feel too. Okay.
Gonna lay it on bright and early 'cause the heat is on. Yeah. This is Joanna Marie, and it's all about DJ Kevin Stew on the night shift. You feel for some stew? Check out Kevin Stew.
We're all sensitive people with so much to give. Understand me, sugar. Since we got to be here, let's live.
Y'all take care until later on. Good morning, good afternoon, good day to you wherever you are in the world from right here in South Florida. I bid you a good night.
With me, loving you, baby, no, and giving yourself to me can never be wrong. If the love is true, oh baby, don't you know how sweet and wonderful life can be? I'm asking you, baby, to get it on with me. Ooh, I ain't gonna worry, I ain't gonna push, I won't push you, baby. So come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, baby. Stop being round and push. Hey, let's get it on.
Even if it hurts to cry,
You know what I'm talking.
'cause I'm gonna tell you,
Come on, baby.
darling.
Hey,
'Cause after the storm,
let your love
there'll
come.
be a calm.
Oh, if you believe in love, let's get it on.
Darling,
Oh, let's get it on, baby. This minute, let's get it on. Please get it on.
oh, we're gonna lay it
I
on
know you know
bright and early 'cause the heat is on.
don't you, baby?
Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The night shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.